The Su-35S Generation 4 Plus ultra-maneuverable aircraft, which is the pinnacle of the Su-27 family evolution, can now successfully counter the most advanced fighters of the probable enemy, created using stealth technologies, both in close and long-range air combat. Its high-precision homing missiles can effectively fight ground and surface targets. The multifunctional Su-35S is the most modern modification of the legendary Su-27 fighter, the symbol of Russian military aviation in the second half of the 20th century. It is a deep modernization of the 27th, which in terms of its characteristics, with the exception of stealth, corresponds to the fifth-generation fighters. In terms of its capabilities, the Su-35S surpasses most modern fighters in both close and long-range combat. The latest digital systems allow the Su-35S group to interact effectively in the air and solve the most complex joint tasks. The Su-35S has no restrictions on angles of attack and is super maneuverable with high controllability. These characteristics, as well as the ability to use long-range air-to-air missiles, significantly increase the aircraft's combat potential. Externally, the Su-35S is virtually indistinguishable from the Su-27, but significant changes have been made to the airframe. Its structure has been strengthened to increase the maximum takeoff weight and service life of the aircraft. It also made it possible to carry more fuel on board. The record range of more than 3,500 kilometers was achieved by placing fuel tanks in the fuselage and wing consoles of the airplane. Sponge-shaped polyurethane foam is used to prevent kerosene from moving inside the tanks during flight under the influence of overloads. One of the key innovations of the 35th compared to the previous machines of the family is a more powerful engine with increased thrust, a modification of one of the world's best engines for frontline aviation. It is this power plant that allows the Su-35S to develop supersonic speed without using afterburner mode, which is one of the requirements for the fifth generation of fighters. The airplane has a maximum ground speed of 1,400 kilometers per hour. The steerable engine nozzle makes it possible to fly in unique modes, such as short takeoffs from damaged runways. In the sky, the Su-35S is capable of performing figures seemingly contradicting the laws of physics. For example, only the Su-35S can do a dead loop with a minimum radius, practically turning on the spot. And this is not just a beautiful drawing in the sky, but a maneuver that gives unique advantages in combat. The most important difference between the Su-35S and its sister generation 4 Plus fighters of the Su-30 and Su-33 families is the availability of fifth-generation avionics on board. The Su-35S is equipped with the Orbis radar control system for detecting, tracking, and measuring the coordinates of air, ground, and surface targets day and night. Orbis is equipped with a passive phased antenna array with an electronic beam control system. It can simultaneously detect and track up to 30 air targets and fire at up to 8 air targets simultaneously. The phased array locator can detect targets in the air at a distance of up to 350 kilometers and see even such complex targets as a helicopter hovering in the air. The Su-35S's highly effective electronic warfare system includes an active jamming station for group and individual mutual defense, anti-radar missile guidance equipment, radar and laser irradiation, and missile attack warning systems, as well as a decoy ejection machine. There are no analog instruments in the Su-35S cockpit. All information is provided to the pilot on LCD indicators. In case of failure of one indicator, the system duplicates it to the neighboring one. Also, in case of failure, the entire electronic control system is duplicated. New controls have been created specially for the Su-35S, the main functions of which are concentrated in 2 levers. For the first time in fighter aviation, the Su-35S utilizes the lead-slave scheme. When the group commander has full information about the other aircraft, the amount of fuel, weapons, etc. The Su-35S fists are highly effective guided air-to-air and long-range air-to-surface weapons, unguided munitions, and a 30mm air cannon. The maximum combat load weight is 8 tons on 12 suspension units. Production of the Su-35S fighter is one of the priority programs of Rostec's United Aircraft Corporation. Serial production of the Su-35/35C is being carried out at the Komsomolsk-on-Amur Gagarin Aviation Plant. Today, the aircraft is supplied both for the needs of the Russian Ministry of Defense and foreign customers. The Su-35S have excelled in the Syrian conflict, performed tasks in the air defense forces, and recently accompanied the Russian president's #1 flight to the UAE and Saudi Arabia.
Cruise supersonic speed, how the latest engine will change the combat characteristics of the Su-57 and S-70. The Russian defense industry has equipped the latest aircraft with a power plant whose characteristics American, Japanese, and Chinese developers cannot reach. Russian fifth-generation Su-57 fighter jets have begun to be equipped with a new power plant that allows them to develop supersonic speed in non-afterburning mode, the state corporation Rostec reported. This innovation will significantly enhance the fighter's combat capabilities. This refers to the second-stage engine for the Su-57. During the development period, it was called Product 30, and now it has received the name AL-51. It was created to replace the AL-41 engines that were initially installed on the fighter. The Su-57 platform is evolving. Its combat capabilities are being increased. The most modern technologies are being introduced into the machine. That is, its effectiveness continues to grow. As for the power plants, the Su-57 aircraft is adapted for use with both the first and second stage engines. Even with the first stage engine, the fighter meets the main requirements of the fifth generation, Rostec said. Rostec added that 76 aircraft with the new engine will be supplied to the Russian Defense Ministry already under the existing contract of 2019. The creation of a new engine for the fifth-generation fighter finally destroys the myth cultivated in the West about Russia's technological backwardness, since the characteristics of the Russian development remain unattainable for specialists from various defense industries in the most developed countries of the world. The Su-57 is a Russian heavy twin-engine multi-role fifth-generation fighter aircraft created by P.O. Sukhoi Design Bureau. It was developed to replace the Su-27 heavy fighter. It made its first flight on January 29, 2010. It entered serial production in 2016. The first 4 aircraft were deployed to the Khmeimim Air Base in Syria back in February 2018 for testing in real combat conditions. Since June 2022, it has been successfully used in the area of the Special Military Operation. Su-57 engines. Initially, the Su-57 was equipped with AL-41 engines. With them, the aircraft meets all the characteristics of a fifth-generation fighter. However, in 2011 it was decided to start developing a new Product 30 engine, which, with the same dimensions, should provide non-afterburning thrust of 11,000 kgf, force unit in the MKS system of units, and afterburning thrust of 18,000 kgf while being more economical than its predecessors. The first tests of the Product 30 were completed in 2016, and the first flight of the Su-57 with the new engine took place on December 5, 2017. This year, the main part of its flight tests has been completed, during which the engine confirmed its characteristics, including fuel economy. Completing the full cycle of flight tests and debugging of the engine will take about another 2 years. And the start of production of serial Su-57 fighters with second-stage engines is expected before 2025. The AL-51 became the first engine that broke away from the fourth generation of power plants, not only in terms of power and specific fuel consumption, but also in terms of specific thrust-to-weight ratio. It is over 11:1. For comparison, the F-22 engine F-119PW100 has a thrust-to-weight ratio of 8.96:1. The first stage Su-57 engine AL-41 has a thrust-to-weight ratio of 9.35:1. This engine improves specific performance both in terms of thrust and fuel consumption. One of the fundamental issues is to provide cruise supersonic speed without turning on the afterburner chamber, which will allow you to quickly and covertly reach the lines of use of weapons. This is especially important when performing missions over vast spaces, noted Oleg Panteleyev, CEO of Aviaport Agency, adding that neither the US, nor China, nor any other countries have engines with such characteristics. Thus, the AL-51 became the first fifth-generation versatile engine that can work equally efficiently in different modes and can be used in various types of aircraft and UAVs. The AL-51 will be able to power the Su-57 and Su-75 Checkmate fighter jets, and in the non-afterburning modification, strike drones such as the S-70 Okhotnik. S-70 Okhotnik UAV. According to the developer's plan, the Su-57 will be used in conjunction with the heavy reconnaissance and strike Okhotnik UAVs, which were also developed at the Sukhoi Design Bureau. This is the first heavy strike UAV of domestic production, whose design was started in 2012, and the drone made its first test flight in August 2019. The S-70 is made according to the flying wing scheme. Externally, it resembles a scaled-down version of the American B-2 Spirit bomber and the Northrop Grumman X-47B UAV. The tactical and technical characteristics of the Okhotnik are not disclosed. Without refueling, the Okhotnik can stay in the air for more than a day. In terms of speed, flight altitude, and maneuverability, the S-70 will be comparable to fifth-generation aircraft. This is a jet aircraft, almost the same airplane, only without a pilot and with a high degree of automation of control processes and execution of flight missions. Among other things, it is integrated into the Common Automated Aviation Control System. This allows it to perform combat missions both independently and in conjunction with manned aircraft, said Vladimir Popov, honored military pilot of the Russian Federation, Major General retired. According to most experts, one of the modifications of the new engine for the Su-57 may become a power plant for the Okhotnik as well. Oleg Panteleyev believes that for the domestic aerospace forces this is a transition to a new level.